Thank you guys for coming and joining us here. Just a quick little commercial about the bank itself. Investors have been in existence for just over 85 years. We're based out of Short Hills. We're a local bank. We cover both New Jersey and New York now. Within the last, 4 or 5 years, we've more than doubled the bank. We were sitting in 2006 at about 40 offices. By the end of the summer, we'll be at about 130 offices. We spread out now as far as south. We are now in Mercer and Burlington County when all the mergers are complete. And in New York, we're going into now Manhattan and Long Island and Queens and Brooklyn. And bigger footprint than we thought it would be. So as far as the bank goes, we're moving. We dropped the savings in our name about a year and a half ago. Investors Bank, new logo, fresh logo, all that good stuff, and it's been well received in between the marketplace, Wall Street, and just we've been everywhere. I have my partner here, Jerry O'Brien. Jerry's with our residential mortgage unit in Milburn. Jerry's been with the bank how long now?
4 years.
4 years, and I'll let him.
Who sells more real estate than RE/MAX? No one, right? No one. Rob, we go back a ways. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. I'm the mortgage rep for the area. I actually cover the Morristown branch. I cover Springfield branch as well. I don't want to step on Bob Scarzello's toes because I'm a good friend of his, and I think he's still in your office. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know who the other person is, but everybody knows Investors as a jumbo lender. You know, you need a good jumbo product. We're the lender for it. Everybody pretty much knows that in the area. There's another bank that's being bought out, and there were the other ones. So, you know, we'll be the big game in town. What I also wanted to talk to you about is one of the requirements which we as a bank in the state of New Jersey has, and it's called CRA requirements, Community Reinvestment Act. And this is for moderate income people. Does anybody work with moderate income people? Okay, so we do some jumbos, we do some moderates, and that's the way my business goes as well. You know, I do some of the big stuff, and I do some of the little stuff as well. The nice thing about our bank is that we're required to have these CRA credits. And what does that mean to you? Well, it means that your customer can get $2,500 as a grant for applying with our bank because we want to give them that CRA money and provide that to them. So if you're able to do a handoff on a moderate income person and you can say, okay, Jerry can get you $2,500 toward your closing costs, that's a pretty good in for you as a realtor and works out well for us as well. So everybody wins in that game. Pre-approvals, you know, we are a direct lender, so we're able to move through the process a little easier. We do have the ability to use human beings to actually underwrite a file, which is nice because if the computer has an issue with something, we have a person that can actually look at it and we can make decisions based on creditworthiness and other things other than whether or not the computer says it's yes or no. So at this time, the bank is offering 3-day approvals. We're actually taking in a purchase file with the contract, with the documents. We're approving it within 3 days, subject to the appraisal coming in. So the nice thing about that is that you guys know that this is coming together quickly. And then once the appraisal comes in, then we issue the full commitment with it. So some lot of great things going on. And if you have any questions, give me a call. I'll also leave some cards. And also there's these brochures. This talks a little bit about the CRA information that I just mentioned to you. Anything I need to touch on, Rob, while I'm talking to everybody?
Well, maybe you want to talk about are there still stated income, no income programs available? Or that's the question.
We at the bank had a product which we actually just discontinued. We do broker it though, and it's same. I don't know if Bob does it too, but we broker into Hudson, and Hudson is like the only one right now that has that product. It's the no income program. It's a self-employed person, and you have to have it for 2 years. There's a reserve requirement, and there's 35% down, and that's the only one that's available. As I said, ours was just discontinued. So that's a tough product. I just did one the other day where instead of the stated income with the higher interest rate, we actually brought a non-occupant co-borrower in, and we were able to get the deal to work that way where the brother actually co-signed for the girl because her income wasn't going to support it, and it worked out a lot better rate-wise and everything like that. And that's one of the ways to try and offset it.
Did the CRA loans take a lot longer?
No, no, it's internal. We don't have to go to, the state or anything like that. If there is an income requirement, that's the one trick, is that
What is a moderate income
it's-
definition?
it's about 72,000, depending on what county you're in. So if you have a person making 72 and, you can do a 5% down kind of a scenario, it's a nice offset to an FHA loan. That's the product we use, and we zip them out. There's no slow process involved with that one, but we can do the approval in 3 days on that one too.
Are there any benefits to interest rates for this CRA money?
It's the same. Yes, there is actually. If you have an odd right now, the standard rate right now is around 4 5/8. We all know about the jump up that we had in the last couple of weeks. It's 4 5/8 is your regular program. The CRA program right now we're offering at 0.5% below that if you do an automatic deduction on it. So you actually, the way it works is that 4 5/8 is your today rate, 4 3/8 if you do CRA, and then 4 1/8, 4.125 if you do it with an automatic deduction.
Nice.
So it's a pretty nice product.
What is the maximum income to qualify as moderate in this area?
72, depending on the county. Each county's a little bit different, but in Morristown, I'll tell you, it's 72,350 is the Morristown requirement. And you're Union?
Union County, 72.4, 72.4.
72.4. So it's the same for both counties. All right.
And is that a single person, individual, family?
It's all borrowers from a tax return. So if you have a husband and a wife and they say, okay, well, I don't need the husband, you can't actually do that because you do need to use the tax return, assuming that they're filing jointly.
Is there a typical rate differential between jumbo and or 17?
One of our nice benefits is that our jumbo begins at 750. So it's a disadvantage and an advantage. I mean, I have the Fannie products, which Bob has those products as well. The 417 number we don't really address. We address it at 750. Right now we're doing a 30-year fixed at 4 5/8 up to 750 and 4 3/4 above that. Okay, and some of ours don't have differentiations in them. Like our 15-year currently is at 3.5 for up to $1.5 million.
Back to the moderate level, the 72.4 income, what's the maximum loan that would qualify for?
It's the maximum you can do for the loan is 417 is the maximum loan amount you can do for that product.
How can the 72 income qualify for a 417 loan?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there are ways to get, I mean,
They have a lot of money.
you figure in the factor on that 72 income is what, $6,000 a month, and if you get a place with, a $400,000 loan, it's going to have a mortgage payment of what, $2,000, right? 2,000. So I mean, yeah, you don't really see it that high, and that's, it's actually the income that's going to constrain what the maximum price is more than my limit.
Well, you're talking to me in semantics here. I'm just looking for, when somebody's got $72,000 maximum,
Income.
how much mortgage do they qualify for? Let me put it that way.
It all depends.
It all depends.
What their down payment is, right?
How much mortgage do they qualify for?
Well, if you had a
$6,000
$6,000,
down payment, they can put down 50% or they can put down 10%, whatever the parameters are. But how much mortgage from the bank do they qualify for?
if you had a person with a $72,000 income, which is $6,000 a month, we wouldn't go over total expenses of $3,000, well, $2,700, 45% of that number. Okay, so $2,700 can be used for your housing payment, assuming that there's no other debt out there. That translates to you back out the taxes, so you got what, $700 in taxes. So you're allowed, in that case, minus insurance of $100. You're limited to a mortgage payment, principal and interest of $1,900, which should translate to somewhere in the neighborhood of, with a factor of 5, 1,900. It's $360. So it's up. I'm going from my head, so excuse me. I'm probably pretty close because I do this often, but I'm going from my head.
Jerry, last question on the moderate income. Is there a FICO requirement? Is it similar to?
We get credits for it, so I'd say a 620 is not going to do it,
Okay.
But at the same token, if there's a strong person, we want to do those loans, because our charter is based on it. So we want to do it. We have a vested interest in making sure that these loans go out there. So we're able to be a little more lenient than we would on, a standard Fannie Mae matrix or something like that. And there actually isn't a price adjustment for it either, which, if you have a 660 credit score on a Fannie loan, you're at, 5% because your credit's not as good. With this, we don't have those add-ons, so it's a neat program.
Do you have any products for construction, for end users who are gonna build a house?
Long-term locks or construction?
Pardon?
Long-term locks or construction?
They're gonna buy land, build a house, and then move in.
We don't actually.
They're not.
We have long-term locks, but we don't have
Okay.
the construction aspect of it. Sorry. All right.
Thanks, Jerry.
It was wonderful seeing you again.
Yes, it's been a while.
Thank you very much, everybody.
We also have a gentleman from our commercial real estate group coming. He'll be here.
Yeah, I left some on the desk.
Great seeing you. All right, for those of you who don't know, I'm gonna introduce our keynote speaker, Doug Tucker. And Doug's been with us 14, going on 15 years now, Doug? Something like that, huh? Time flies. And since he's been here, he's been the partner of the #1 team for every year that they've been here. He's been the listing side of that team. And I think he needs no further introduction, and take your pads out and take some good notes. He's got some great stuff.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, where do I start? First off, I guess I'll say to you that I don't have any fancy listing presentations, so if anyone's looking for a fancy laptop presentation or something along that lines, I'm going to disappoint you. Turn it up. My whole process is pretty simplistic, quite frankly, and it's a simple model that I follow over and over and over again, and have tweaked over the 25 years that I've been selling properties. Mostly over those 25 years, focused as a listing specialist is the way that I present myself to the client, listing specialist or seller's agent. So it's evolved into what it is, and really what I wanted to do today was just walk you through what I would do if I went on a listing appointment, take any questions that you might have as we go along, and look for your feedback and input as well. This kind of evolved out of a meeting I think we had maybe a couple months back as the office was going through a transition, and I felt the need to share the idea of sharing, which was, I thought it was important as we go forward to be more transparent. I, for the most part, in 15 years that I was in the Morristown office, and still am in the Morristown office, didn't share much. For the most part, I was known as the guy who put his head down and walked through the foyer up to my office, and that was pretty much it. And as I guess things have developed to a point, and a lot of things that I've seen with some of the other companies, I feel it's important for all of us to contribute to the strength of the office. The stronger we are as a group, the stronger each of us will be individually. So I guess there was a point in time where I took all of my material as private, kind of put my hand over it, didn't want anybody else to see it. It was mine, I was different, I was unique, and, I wanted to keep it that way. I don't feel that way anymore. I really don't. I think I've learned a lot of things in my 25 years from other real estate agents. Practically everything I do, I've learned from somebody else. So I'm happy to share those with everybody, and I would encourage that we do that as a group, no matter what it is. I mean, there's parts of the business that some of us are really experienced in and maybe very good at, and other parts that we're not, and we can all learn from each other. So anyway, without any more of that, I'll take you through my listing presentation and the process. And mine is always been a two-step process. You know, I've never been comfortable doing a one-step listing presentation. I almost never do it, even with a past client. So it starts there. Usually starts with a phone conversation where I get the either call coming in for the appointment. And at that time, I'm usually just asking some basic information. Okay, you know, what's your timetable? Where are you going? What are you doing? Collecting that kind of information, and then setting the first appointment. And I'll kind of do. I don't know. Has anybody done? I've gone to all the trainers over the years, and I think probably what I do now is a little piece of everybody. It started with Floyd Wickman many years ago as a sweat hog. I don't know if anybody else has ever done that. And he had the old safe island technique. You know, you take them on a safe island. You come on into the front door. You take them to the kitchen table, and you take them onto a safe island, which is basically explaining the process of what they can expect as far as the process goes. I do a little bit of that on the telephone. You know, explain to people that look, it's a two-step process. You know, the first meeting. You know, and sometimes it's, well, my husband's not available, my wife's not available. Not important. You know, first meeting is for me to come out and get to know about your property, okay? And then I'll be collecting information on that first meeting, which will allow me to go back, put together the market analysis and the marketing plan for your property. And then on the second meeting, when I come out, we'll get into a lot of the details. So that's where it starts. On the first meeting, I take along, and I've just more recently started to do this, a little bit of what I call a pre-selling package. And again, it's very simple stuff. You can find all of this stuff, you know, right on Main Street. It's generic RE/MAX stuff. For many years, I did not lean on this as much as I should have. It was all about, my listing presentation was all about me. And in fact, I would go out of my way to tell people that, you know, it doesn't matter who the real estate company is. It doesn't matter whether it's RE/MAX. It doesn't matter whether it's Coldwell Banker. It's all about the individual agent that you hire. Still believe in that to a certain extent, but it's the company behind that individual agent and the tools that they provide that agent that allows them to be a better agent. So I lean on RE/MAX a little bit more. I think there's a lot of things that people are not aware of that we have to educate the prospect on. I love this piece where nobody sells more homes in New Jersey than RE/MAX, and make that very clear to them that, you know, not only am I only one of the top real estate agents in the marketplace, but I'm with the #1 real estate company in the world and the #1 real estate company in New Jersey. And, you know, I jump around a lot, so you have to bear with me on this. Rob will attest to my attention deficit problem, but that's why we're in real estate. Exactly. But you know, I'm using this more and really putting an emphasis on you know, what the strength of RE/MAX is as a company, as a network. There is no stronger company that your agent could be affiliated with. But what I would say to people is, you're better off listing your property with the best agent in a company you never heard of and a weak agent in a good company. Okay, so it does really come down to the ability of the individual real estate agent, and I generally have that conversation with them. But on the first appointment, it's just a little bit of a pre-sell. Here's some information about my company. Here's some information about myself. One of the things that I'm pre-selling about myself is the team concept, which I use and have been using now for 16 years. And how that differentiates me from many agents in the marketplace. There are more and more teams today, so it's not as uncommon. When we first started, we were the only team in town. So it was really a strong point of differentiation. Can be presented the right way and it can be presented the wrong way. A team can be looked at as a negative and a team can be looked at as a positive. If you present it the wrong way, it will be looked at as a negative. In the beginning, it used to be, from my perspective in presenting the team, it was all about the more people on my team, the better. The bigger the team, the better. You know, the more value we had, the more people we had. And what I found was that's not the way the client interpreted it. They got lost in that all these people, where do you fit in kind of thing. You're going to come take my listing and go away. So you have to be careful that you don't present it that way. So over the years, I've broken it down to only focusing on 2 people on the team. And the way I present it to people is when you do business with me, whether you're buying a home or you're selling a home, we're going to assign 2 agents to every client. Okay, and that's one of the things that separates us from many other agents. And if you're selling a property, you're going to work with me and my listing partner, and her name is Virginia Butkus. If you're going to be purchasing a property, you're going to be working with me and one of my 3 buyers agents. And then I will go into, all right, what do I do? What do they do? And on the listing side of things, what I'm emphasizing is that my focus is on those things that are most important, okay? That's where you want my focus, that's where you want my time, that's where you want my energy. And you want me, in essence, to have somebody else there to support me to do the other things that need to be done. But ultimately, by the 2 of us working together, we can provide more services and better services. We can get a better result, okay? So that's usually what I'm doing. A little introduction to my team concept on the first appointment, a little introduction to the company, and then this is just a leave behind, so I'll leave it with you. In addition to, nobody sells more real estate than RE/MAX in New Jersey, is we're number 1 on the internet. I mean, that's huge today. Everybody recognizes that. Every seller recognizes that. Is that internet is huge when it comes to selling your home, and you better have an aggressive internet marketing campaign. If I can show that my company has the number 1 real estate website on the internet, it gives me added value. Also speak to the company as a international company, that our reach is much further than any other company that you could list your property with. And that buyers in my marketplace, I always put into 3 baskets. Your buyer is going to come from one of 3 baskets. It's going to be the local buyer, who is, in most cases, trading up. It's going to be what I classify as the regional buyer, which in our marketplace is coming from the east, okay, to get more value in the west. Or it's going to come from the relocation basket, okay? And one of the things that RE/MAX does as an international company is it allows me to reach out to more of the potential relocation buyers that are in the marketplace. And that's one of the benefits of that piece. There's an additional supporting piece to the internet, and then this RE/MAX versus the industry. So you can break it down kind of simply into, okay, well, this is how it benefits you. This is the difference. This is what we really do by being the number 1 company. My thing has always been, too, I can use it in my marketplace, not everybody can use it, is I don't really care so much what anybody else is telling you that they do. And I know for a fact that a lot of the competing agents that you're going to bring in to make presentations to you are going to make a better presentation than I am. I know that. It's not about the presentation. It's about results. And what I can say in my marketplace is that nobody gets better results than I get. Here are the facts. Here's the history. Here's how many houses I sell. In my focused market area, I, over the last 20 years, have outsold the number 2 agent in my marketplace 3-to-1. So no matter what they do, it doesn't work as well as what I do. And I convey that message. So that's a little bit of the pre-selling on first appointment. From there, I basically sit down with in our multiple listing system, the Garden State Multiple Listing Property Profile Form, and I fill it out. Okay, how many bedrooms do you have? How many bathrooms do you have? What's the square footage? What's the lot size? I got to fill out that form anyway. I might as well get it now, collect as much information as I can. Some people who know me are rolling their eyes because I don't always do that, and I come back with an incomplete file. But that's my goal, is to fill it out at that point in time, collect all the information on the property profile form. I then ask them to take me through the house, room by room, because now I have to see the way the property shows. Okay, and I take specific notes on each room, and I take room dimensions as I go through with my, I have the little electronic measuring device, shoot the room dimensions, and get that. Also, while I'm at the table, I'm usually asking, look, do you have any questions about the process or any questions about the market? And let them start asking questions, and there's that dialogue that goes back and forth. And then it's, okay, take me through the house, let me collect the information so I can get back to the office, and put together the market analysis, put together the marketing plan, and then I'm going to come back out and we'll get into the details of how you benefit by using me to represent you to sell your property. On the second appointment, It's very simple. I basically say to people, I take every property through the same process. It's a process that I've developed over 25 years and in excess of 1,000 successfully closed real estate transactions. The process starts simply with pricing. Right? The first thing that I'm going to do is help you determine the best price to ask for your property. What asking price will lead you to the highest possible selling price? That's my goal with pricing. So that's step number one. Step number two for me is staging. Okay, I use a professional staging consultant for my listings, and I offer that to every client. It's built into my commission. I don't charge anything extra for it. I pay the stager out of pocket. Okay. Yes. A professional home staging consultant. Okay. Which there are many out there. I would highly recommend using a professional home stager. It is, again, an added value service, yes.
You supply or recommend?
I supply. So you affiliate yourself, whoever you think is a good home stager in your marketplace. Go out and interview a few, sit down and talk to them. That's what I've done. I've used 4 or 5 over the years. Mostly because they've moved out of area over time. And when I hire a new one, I'll bring them in, I'll sit them down, I'll let them know how I work, how do you work, I'll try to negotiate a fee. I provide a 90-minute home staging consultation. And what my home stager does is she'll come out to the house without me, and she'll go room by room, basically as I did, and put together a punch list of everything that you can do to prepare your property for sale. So step one is we've got to price. Step two is we got to present. We've got to present your property in the best light possible to attract the highest possible offers. And I explain to my clients, because everybody knows is you have people who have sparkling homes that really don't need any home staging. It's ready to go. And you have other people where you have to wipe your feet on the way out. Yeah. And usually the people where you have to wipe your feet on the way out, they're not going to do any home staging. All right. So I always say to them, look, I bring my consultant in and we create a punch list. It's up to you. You do everything, you do nothing. It's up to you. The more you do, the faster we'll sell it, the more we'll sell it for. The less you do, the longer it's likely to take, the less you're likely to sell it for. But it's your call. I'll find that I have some clients where we actually become the general contractor of a construction project. Just did one. And I bring my wife in on those because she's very good at that, and it's very cheap labor. And so I did one recently where we basically redid the kitchen, ripped up the floors, new tile floors, new granite countertops, new subway tile backsplash, repainted the whole interior of the house, selected the colors, selected the materials, coordinated the contractors, got the estimates, and provided that level of service for getting that house on the market. I guess I had an aha moment about, I don't know how many years ago, but it was a number of years ago, where I really saw, I don't know if you guys get the same experience, when I'm presenting to a client, everything's in the eyes. You can say something that you think has a lot of value, and you can see in their eyes, it means nothing to them. And you can say something else that you think isn't that important, and you can see in their eyes, it means a lot to them. Okay? I have found over time, the staging to most clients means a lot to them. They see a lot of added value in that service. It's evolved into a whole process now of where I'm able to get, and in some cases, a written listing commitment a year before a seller's ready to sell, because I'm going to provide them with staging services over that period of time. And that's been an aha for me. So every listing that I take, going a little sidetracked here, starts as an exclusive listing. Almost every single listing I take, not almost, every single listing I take starts as an exclusive listing, yes.
How do you charge for all these services that you do? I mean,
If I'm going to do the home staging, everything's built into my commission. I bump the commission up. Now, the consultation is in my base commission. Everybody, commissions are negotiable. You negotiate whatever commission you think is fair. My base commission, the 90-minute staging consultation is included. If I'm going to become the general contractor for a construction project, now the commission gets bumped up. I'm taking the risk. House doesn't sell. I provided all those services for nothing. I'm only going to get paid if the house sells. That's the way I'm willing to do it. So you have to measure each individual situation. What's the motivation of the seller? If the motivation is there, term of agreement, no, I can sell it. My risk is little to nothing. So it adds a lot of value. Anyway, so back to the process. So I'm starting with, here's the process. It's kind of that safe island. This is the process we're going to go through. It's pricing, it's staging. Okay, once we've completed the staging process, we can go on to step 3. Step 3 is photography. Okay, I use a professional photographer to take all my pictures. I think a lot of agents do today. I think it adds a lot of value, again, to the client. They see it as added value. They're beginning to interpret this as, wait a minute, this person really is taking a professional approach here. And that's one of the ways that, you know, I've presented myself in my marketing to clients. It's a more professionally managed real estate transaction. You want to list with me? More professionally managed real estate transaction. And at the end of the day, it's going to be the least expensive way to sell your house for the most amount of money. So the professional photography adds to the professional end of it. You want the highest quality images in all your marketing materials, right? And people today, every one of them is on the internet looking at properties, right? And so you could say to them, hey, have you ever seen a property with bad photos? Have you ever seen a property with no photos? Have you ever seen a property with limited photos? You know, that doesn't happen here. As soon as your property is activated, we've got the highest quality images. You've previewed all of them before they've gone live. We've selected them, and you're going to have a really great presentation of your property. So we can't bring the photographer in, though, until you've done the staging work, whatever staging work that you're going to need to do. So assuming that stage has been through, got the punch list, you said, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Many times it's just a lot of taking stuff out, right? It's the decluttering. It's not bringing stuff in. It's just taking it out. It's putting the emphasis on the real estate, as I call it. Take your emphasis off the personal property and put it on the real estate. Right? Thin it out. Great. Now we're ready for pictures. Bring the photographer in. Now once the photographer comes in and I have the pictures, then I can go on to the next step. The next step is the marketing plan. You know, creating the marketing materials that we're going to use to go out and find buyers for your property. Okay. So I have those pictures. I need usually about 48 hours to create the materials that I need before I want to go live with your listing, because when we go live with your listing, we want to put our best foot forward. We don't want to, you know, start with one picture, add pictures, you know, everything's done, everything's ready and ready to go. So we'll go to the marketing plan, and then that's when I get into, okay, what's my marketing plan? What is it that we do? And I use this very simple Circle Pix, you know, marketing piece. You can all get these from Circle Pix. Many of you have probably seen them. This is my entire marketing plan right here. Between this and the color brochures that I use for the property, I show them nothing else. Okay? It's 2 pieces. And I show them the first thing we do with marketing once we have your pictures is we build a presentation website of your home. Okay, so it's a custom-built presentation for your home. Everybody does that here. Everybody in this room does that, right? It's the Circle Pix automated presentation tour, right? But I present it as, hey, we're building a custom website for your home. And this is what it's going to look like. We're going to take all the photos that the professional photographer takes. We're going to drop them into your presentation tour. We're going to have still photos. We're going to have panning photos. We're going to have the details, the information, the floor plans, community information, school reports. It's all here. That's our one-stop shop. That's the way I present it to them. The objective of marketing is to do what?
Bring people.
Right, and who do we want to bring in?
Buyers.
Every buyer that we can possibly bring in. How do we reach them? Okay, we want to get this information out to everybody in the shortest period of time. That's the way I explain it to them. Okay, and we want to reach every buyer that's in the marketplace right now, that's in this price range, considering this community, and we want to reach every real estate agent that sells in this community. But we don't want to just reach them, because you can reach them and make a bad presentation and lose them. You want what I call full marketing exposure, which is the only true test of price. And full marketing exposure is I've reached everybody in the marketplace, every buyer, every real estate agent, and I've made the best presentation we can make of your property. Okay? And I think you'll agree when you see your presentation tour, the way we present your property is in the best light it can be presented. There's nothing else we can put in front of anybody to get a better reaction from. So if we have full marketing exposure, which is we've reached everybody with the best presentation of your property that can be made, that's going to be our test of price. And the response to that marketing exposure is going to tell us whether we hit the bullseye with our pricing or not. And if we did, there are certain things that are going to happen. So you got to set the expectations. What can you expect? Well, depending on where you are, depending on what price range you're in, it might be, hey, the first thing we're going to look at is what kind of activity are we getting on the internet? And I explained to them, we're going to send you a report each week, and it's going to show you how many searches were done in the last week that your property came up on. Is that search list trending up? Is it trending down? That's one thing we can look at. The next thing we're going to look at is how many buyers who did those searches actually selected your property from the list. That's interest. I'm measuring a level of interest in your home. So how many people are selecting your property from the list determines whether there is some initial interest out there. Then when they select your home, do they click on it and click off it? Which to me is no interest. They looked, they had no interest, they moved on. Or did they take another step? Did they click on the more media link? Did they click on another feature within the website? Did they spend time? So what I tell them is, first, I want to see activity on the websites. I want to see people selecting your house. I want to see people spending time with your home. Yes?
I have a very dim-witted question. Are you in visit number 2 or visit number 1?
Number 2. Number 2. Number 2. I'm going through the steps in the process. Number 2, yes.
And what services do you use to give your client the activity?
GSMLS only.
Okay.
You can give the Remax, you can give the True. You're just going to confuse people. Why is this one getting more than that one? Just GSMLS. That's the core. Okay, so I just give them that one. So it starts there. Then the next thing I want to see is I want to see what I call unsolicited feedback, right? I tell people, when we have to solicit feedback, we're just trying to find out why they're not interested. Because if they were interested, they would have called me before I ever called them, okay? So unsolicited feedback is your marketing goes out, people see your property, and now they start to make inquiries of me and my team about your property. I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting emails. So one of the things I say to people is if your house has been on the market for 30 days and I have not received one phone call or email about your property, we have a problem, okay? Nothing else matters. We have a problem. So I've got to be getting inquiries about your property. That's another level of interest that we measure for your home. The next thing then we look at is those inquiries, how many of those turn into showings? How many showings are you getting each week? And I try to set the bar for that. If it's a new listing, we're going to do a delayed showing first week on the market. I think you should get 10 showings. After that, maybe it's 3 to 5 showings a week in this market, depending on the price range, up or down. Are we getting the expected buyer activity that we should be getting? If we're not, we might have a problem. All right, the next thing then, and the last piece of it really is, now after they've been to your house, what do they think? What do they think? What does the agent think? What does the buyer think? We collect feedback. We have a very simple Google document that we've color-coded. And we put every piece of feedback into one of 3 groups. Serious interest, some interest, or no interest. I forget the colors. I think serious interest is yellow, some interest is orange, and no interest is red. So I say to people, when you get your feedback sheets, you want to see a lot of yellow, okay? If you don't see a lot of yellow, we may have a problem, okay? And that's how we're measuring response to your marketing plan as we go forward. I kind of went off track, got a little sidetracked. Let me come back on track for a moment. In addition to, going back to this, creating the presentation website for your house, we have a mobile-specific presentation of your property. Really important today. More and more buyers are using mobile devices to view property. You can create a great website on the internet, but if it's not built on a mobile platform, it's going to make a really lousy presentation on a mobile device. So we have a mobile-specific presentation that we've created for your home. Create a YouTube video for your property. Now everybody knows this is all CirclePix stuff. You didn't do anything. You paid $10 a month for all of this, which to me is the best value I've had in the 25 years that I've been in real estate. So you get the YouTube video. Then we have a toll-free number that you can call 24 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This again is a Circle Pix. You can use the Circle Pix. We use our own 800 service. We just started now using the 800 writers on our signs and putting it in some more of our marketing materials to generate inquiry there. Yes.
Would that also become a call capture for you?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you present that because you want people to say, I think a lot of times, again, kind of a sidebar here, a lot of sellers think that you're going to sell their house, right? You're going to be the buyer's agent on the property. And you're going to convince people who are not interested in their home to be interested in their home and to buy it. And I say, no. This is not used car salesmanship here. We don't sell houses in real estate. We take orders. Okay? As buyer agents, we take orders. What's your criteria? What do you want? Let me show you everything that meets your criteria. You pick one. All right? In reality, that's the way it works most times on the buying side of the market. So I'm not selling your property in that manner. I'm selling your house with marketing. You don't want to hire. The worst thing you could do to list your house is to hire a buyer's agent. The worst thing you could do. Okay? You want to hire a marketing agent, okay, who's going to get you that exposure, is going to mobilize the sales force. The sales force is the same sales force as any other agent you would hire with any other real estate company, and it's called the multiple listing system. What differentiates me from another listing agent is my ability to mobilize that sales force, okay, and get more of those folks involved in proactively selling your property. One of the first things that we're going to do, and it happens automatically again, is we're going to broadcast this great presentation that we created to your home to every real estate agent in the multiple listing system. What we're trying to do is make a wow presentation to the agent, because your buyer that shows up at the front door is coming one of two ways to your front door. Either their agent is leading them to the front door, or the buyer is leading the agent to the front door. Okay? And they're all coming from my marketing, whether it's my marketing within the multiple listing system or my marketing out to the public. Okay, so what we're doing in that capacity is driving people to the front door. I just completely lost my train of thought. Anyway, when it comes back to me, I'll get back on the track. Going back to the steps in the system. Or back to this sheet, actually, is where I need to go. 800 number, talked about that. And this is where I was going with it, so it just came back to me. We want to show people that we're professional sales people, marketing specialists. So I think the call capture component of this is real important. Because what I say to people is, look, there's lots of marketing that goes out there, but there's no selling behind it. Which means I can have a website, I can drive all kinds of people to the website, and I get numbers from it. Look, a gazillion people saw your house, but nobody's called, nobody sent an email, nobody showed up to view your house. Okay, why? We don't know. We haven't been able to talk to any of those gazillion people. All right, they're just all anonymous out there. By using this technology, the message that you put behind is not even important. It can be, ha ha ha, gotcha, when they call this number, because it's a call capture thing. I know you called about this house. I have your phone number, and now I can call you back. And I can try to convert that inquiry, that call, into a showing, and that showing into a sale. And that's the beauty of this kind of technology and why we use it. Okay? It gives us more opportunities to sell. On the bottom of this thing is QR codes. I usually skip right over that. Is anybody using QR codes or finding any success with QR codes?
No.
Nor am I. So that's what I tell them. We use them, but they don't work really well. Then flip over to the back side. What else is important today? Social media. Social media is huge, right? So you've got to be using social media in which to market and get exposure for their properties. So one of the things that happens automatically by Circle Pix again is you get this posting on your Facebook business page. Okay, so we're using Facebook and social media to get more exposure for your property out there on the internet. We're blogging. We do additional blogging, or blogging in addition to what's provided from this program. And my blogging is really more about my market area, where I'm saying, look, I'm marketing your house two ways. Property specific, putting your property in front of people, trying to get a level of interest from that marketing specifically in your home, and I am doing general marketing, trying to draw people into your market area. And then once I draw them into your market area, then I have the opportunity to introduce them to your property. So the area where I do about 70% of my business is the town of Randolph, the town in which I live in. And so my blogging is all about, hey, Randolph's a great place to live. Randolph's got great schools. You know, you want to come to Randolph, blah, 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 blah. And then I can differentiate myself in the marketplace when I go out and make that presentation to the Randolph seller. Here is something that I'm doing different than what the average agent is doing in the marketplace. In fact, because my business, 70% of it is in the town of Randolph, and because I've been doing it for 25 years, and because I have a database of over 10,000 contacts, I have a larger pool of direct buyers for your home than any person alive, okay? There's nobody else that can match what I bring to the table in my direct access to buyers, which is my database. So you can do those kinds of things specific to your market area, and blogging is a way to kind of do that. Craigslist, you know, we use Craigslist, certainly with conversion. This is a great tool in which to drive people into conversion. It's not always property specific. It can be property specific, and it can be more general. Hey, Best Buys in Randolph, click here, you know, and then I bring people in, and on that page is your house, and then we lead them to your property, and we're doing innovative things like that in which to further maximize exposure of your home. In addition to those types of things, our printed marketing brochure, we use a basic, you know, we use a quality 4-page marketing brochure. I think everybody has a copy of it. So I can show them, look, the highest quality printed marketing materials are used to market your property. There's an exterior photo usually on the outside, 6 shots on the inside, 2 on the back, and then there's an insert that goes in this. And the insert is called the client full report from GSMLS. Boom. So there's no effort, energy on our part. The remarks, everything in our report, are taken right from the remarks from the multiple listing. You write it one time, you download it into everything. It's all templated, and it happens in a very efficient manner. So I'm able to show them that. Most people are impressed by this printed marketing piece. I often then elaborate on my team concept, which is, look, on my team, in addition to me and my partner, behind us providing us with support, is we have an internet marketing specialist who just manages the internet marketing campaign. So do you. It's called CirclePix. We have a print marketing specialist who just manages our print marketing campaign. His name is Junaid. I think he's in Pakistan. He creates this. And so, you know, it's professionally managed. The idea behind a team concept is everybody has a focus. Everybody specializes in a certain part of the process. And by doing so, we can provide better services, more services, and get you a better result. My role, again, stay focused on the most important things. Most important things, I'll come back to in a minute. So I went into, you know, steps through the process. So we start with pricing. We start with staging and professional photography. You create the materials, and now we launch your marketing plan. And now your exposure's out there. And don't tell me you have a marketing problem. You don't have a marketing problem. Throwing more marketing at the fact that we're not getting any interest in your home is not going to change anything. You're going to put the property in front of the same people, looking the same way, and you're going to get the same response, which is nothing. If you're not getting a response to this marketing plan, we have a different problem. Okay? And it's a market problem. And it usually translates to price. We don't necessarily have the right price on your property, and we may have to fine tune it. If you've priced it right, you're going to get all this activity at the internet sites, as we talked about. I'm going to get lots of inquiries about your house, phone calls, emails. We're going to get lots of showings for your property, and we're going to see interest. What does interest look like? Oh, somebody comes to your house, runs in and runs out. Probably not interested. Sometimes they are, but most of the time they're not. If they linger in your home and they're spending an hour there, most of the time they're interested. Sometimes they have no interest at all. They're just strange people. You know, I've had situations, I'm sure we all have. I had one, I remember, a buyer who had come back, I don't know, 3 or 4 different times. On each occasion, spent 1 to 2 hours in the house. Every time they came back with more people, collecting more data, pictures, measurements, this, that, and the other thing. Never even made an offer, you know. So doesn't always mean it, but most of the time, when people linger in the house, that's a sign of interest. When people come back for a second visit, that's a sign of interest. Are you getting people lingering in the house? Are you getting people coming back for a second visit? If you're not, you may have a problem. Okay, and then the feedback. What is it? Serious interest? Is there serious interest on the sheet? Is there no yellow here? We may have a problem. Okay, so marketing goes out. The next thing that happens is progress reports. Okay, and these are these weekly progress reports we give you. The progress report is, okay, here's the searches that have been done in your price range each week. Here's how many times people are selecting your property, and this is good or bad. You have to translate it for them, right? It's not just the data. What does this mean? This means not good, and this means good, okay? So I'm optimistic at that level. What about inquiry? Well, it hasn't translated to any phone calls or emails from buyers or other agents, so that's not so good. What about showings? Well, you know, we should have been getting 3 to 5 showings. We're getting 1 to 2 showings. That's not good. And you've set this expectation for them. So, you know, sometimes I get calls from my clients, hey, things aren't going real well. You know, there's not a lot of people coming here. You know, okay, yeah, you're right. They're not. We may need to reevaluate. So weekly progress reports. And that's the big thing that I say to my clients is, look, my role, my focus is going to be first on pricing. Okay, that's where I think I'm really valuable because I have the experience in the marketplace on values and how to price properties right. I've been doing it for 25 years, had over 1,000 closed transactions, and I bring that experience to the table so I can guide you there. I don't tell you, I give you the data, you make the decision. We'll come back to pricing in a minute. Pricing is the first thing that I do. The next thing that I do is I'm going to provide you with the staging services so that your house presents the best it can present. Okay, so advising you on price, providing you with the services so your house presents the best way it can present, and then I'm providing you with a professional photographer to provide you with the best quality images and all your marketing materials so we get that wow response from the buyers. Once your property goes live, then my partner is the one who's going to be collecting all the feedback, tracking the showings, and is going to be reporting that all to you. My partner is the one who's going to be making a weekly progress report to you and giving you insight to how we're doing. And then I'm getting copied on all of that. And I'm going to take that data and I'm going to interpret it. And as needed, I'm going to advise you. Hopefully what's going to happen is after the first week, I'll give you a call and say, great, things look great. You know, we're getting great response. We hit the target. We're close. A sale's coming. Other times I'm going to say, not so sure. Mixed signals. Need more time, need more data before I can draw any conclusions. Other times I'm going to say, we got a problem here. Not good. Got to keep our eye on this. Things don't get better soon. We're going to have to make a change. So I'm advising you throughout what I call the marketing period, up until the point where our goal, and the way I explain it to everybody is, our goal is to sell your house in the first 30 days. Okay? The sooner we generate an offer, the earlier on in the process, the higher the offer is likely to be. Your best opportunity to sell for top dollar is in the beginning, unless the pricing curve gets really steep. Different story. In my marketplace, we're not into a steep pricing curve yet. We finally are in one that is pointing in the right direction, but at a very slow pace. But in that market environment, the longer your house is on the market, the lower your offers will be. First offer is usually the best offer, right? Earlier on, more leverage you have, more excitement there is behind the property, more value there is behind the property. The longer you sit there, that starts to go the other way. Why isn't it sold? How come it's not sold? Why has it been on the market so long? On the market long used to be a year. Now it's starting to become a month. You know, it's really starting to flip-flop. So that changes with market. So I'm advising you throughout the marketing period. And up to the point where if we haven't sold your house within our goal the first 30 days, I'm going to come back out and meet with you every 30 days for a reevaluation. Okay? What do we have to do to sell your house in the next 30 days? Okay? Can we continue to do what we're doing? Yes, sometimes we can. I can come to you on that first 30-day reevaluation and say, look, we're almost there. Just hang on. It's coming. Or other times I can say, we missed the target. We've got to make a change. The sooner we do it, the better. Smartest thing you can do right now is make this reduction and have that conversation with them. Because it's all about managing price, right? It's just really about getting it priced right for whatever it is. The house that you have to wipe your feet on the way out, you know, that I can sell in 30 days at the right price. And the Taj Mahal, I can sell in 30 days at the right price. I can't sell either property at all, in most cases, if it's not priced right. So we're managing price, we're trying to get price right. So weekly reports, 30-day reevaluations until we get it right. And then once we get it right, then you'll start to see the change. And many times, it's just a small change that makes a big difference. You could be just above a major break point. I tell people the market breaks in 10s, 25s, and 50s. Okay, so you want to try to stay under those break points. You reach a much larger pool of buyers. And if you have to make a price reduction, you need to make enough of a price reduction to get a different reaction. And what you're really trying to do is you're trying to get into a new group of buyers that have a lower set of expectations than the ones you're reaching now. And you want to go back out and you want to reach the buyers you've already reached with the old price, but you want to get a different reaction from them with the new price. And so if I'm asking $699 for a property and I reduce it to $689, is that going to change anything? No. Same buyers, same response, no change. Now, usually I say if you need to make a price reduction, it probably needs to be at least 5% for it to do those things. Get us into a new group of buyers and get old buyers to look at us differently, different response. So 30-day evaluations. Now, assuming we got the price right, the next thing that happens is you generate the offer. Okay? So I explain to people, what do? My job, again, pricing, provide staging, provide photography, provide the marketing plan that's going to be used to find buyers for your property, advise you throughout the marketing period up until the point where we generate an offer, and I do the pre-qualification of all buyers, and I do all the negotiations on the contracts. Okay, so I'm focused on that. That's what I think I'm really good at, and that's where I think you get a lot of value out of my representation. Okay, the deal that I can negotiate for you, and I can share specific stories with people in the negotiation phase. I talked about this yesterday. How many are seeing multiple offers now? Right, it's pretty common, right? Running into record offers with escalation clauses. Okay, what do you do when there's an escalation clause? Do you generally accept it or reject it?
Reject it.
Right. So that's what I explained to people. I said, look, I got an offer recently, and I usually like to use real-world examples because people can really bond with those. So I had a house that I sold recently, 22 Fairfield Avenue, Randolph, New Jersey, listed at $659,900. We sold for $685,000. Generated multiple offers on that property, and one of them was a record offer with an escalation clause. I don't remember the exact numbers, so forgive me for that. The first offer, I think, came in at the full asking price, $659,900. Highest, best, and final. So I'm always, if I have multiple offers coming in at the same time, it's don't give me anything other than your highest, best, and final. Okay, with no opportunity to improve. Okay, these are the guidelines. I've had this conversation with my seller. This is the way they want to do it. Okay, and I advise them. This is the way you want to do it, and here's why you want to do it, and this will yield the best result. Do not let people think they have an opportunity to improve their offer later on after they find out they're not the best offer, because that thing will just blow up into one big mess. Okay, make sure they put their best offer on the table, and that's it. They don't get a second chance at it. So if they come in together, highest, best, and final. I had one just the other day, 29 Marjoline. We got an offer. We listed at $719. We got an offer of $715. In the first couple of days, we accepted the $715. While we're still in attorney review, second offer comes in. Okay, second offer comes in. The instructions to the second offer with the agent for that buyer is highest, best, and final. Unless your offer is clearly better than what we already have, I'm not rocking that boat. Okay, so you give me your highest, best, and final. If it's clearly better, then we'll go back to the first offer and say, hey, have a second offer, and I have to pull the previous agreement, and going to have to ask you to come back with the highest, best, and final. Once we have both buyers' highest, best, and finals, those will be put down in front of the seller, and the seller will make a decision, which is the best deal for them. In the case of an escalation clause, 22 Fairfield Avenue, one buyer comes in at $659,900. The other buyer comes in with an escalation clause up to $685,000, $2,500 above the next highest offer. Right? Everybody understands that process. Yeah. So if it's $659,900, let's round it off to $660,000, then they're only going to pay $662,500, right? And I say, what is it? Is it whatever your number is? I forget what the number was on the table, or is it your escalation of $685,000? Because we will not accept an escalation clause because, well, it's legal. You can't do that. You have to present it. Absolutely. I will present it to my client. Let me explain to you how I'm going to present it to my client. This is not in your best interest. You should run away from this escalation clause. One, because they're not putting their best foot forward. Number two, they're asking you to do something, in my opinion, which is unethical. They want me to disclose the terms and conditions of another buyer's offer to this buyer for their benefit. That's just wrong, okay? But most importantly, it's not in your best interest. So what we want to do is go back to them and say, no escalation clause. Is your best offer this number, or is it this number, or is it something in between? In this case, it's okay, it's $685. So I end up with two offers, a $660 and a $685. I just made my client $25,000, right? So you can explain to your client, because of my knowledge in negotiating and how to handle these types of things. Look, and you come across some really strong agents that are really down my throat. This is legal, you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I can. I know it's legal, and you can do whatever you want because it's legal, but I'm just telling you how I'm going to present it to my client and how it's going to be perceived. So in that negotiation, I would suggest that you use examples like that, real-world examples, where you save people, in this case, $25,000 in a negotiation. That's a big part of what I do, is negotiating the deal for you. I picked this up from, anybody ever followed Brian Buffini, his materials? He actually had he led a team summit for RE/MAX out in Las Vegas a number of years ago, and Gordon and I went out to that team summit, and I remember hearing him speak, and it's one of the things that stuck in my head. And he, Brian's the big, referral, personal notes, do this, do that, does a lot of service. And he said he didn't understand what his clients really perceived as his value. And what he found out by asking, and I guess they sent out surveys, is, what do you see the greatest value in using Brian to represent you when you buy or sell real estate? And he said it kept coming back, my ability to negotiate, my ability to negotiate, my ability to negotiate. And that the sellers specifically, and the buyers for that matter, put a lot of emphasis on that one trait. So I said, if his buyers and sellers feel that way, probably my buyers and sellers feel that way. So I want to emphasize that. So make a big point out of my ability to negotiate, handling that part of the transaction for you, again, staying focused on the things that are most important. And now we have a deal. I don't think you're supposed to call them deals. Now we have a transaction, right? And now, as I tell people, it's halftime, okay? We're halfway there. Now we got to get to the other half to get to the finish line. And the finish line is closing, and the second half of the transaction is called under contract. In many other states, it's called escrow. For many years, I didn't understand escrow. What the hell is escrow? Escrow agents, escrow. Using title companies, it's all contract or an escrow period. I call it the under contract period. Yes.
When you take a listing, and it's a very good listing, you come to realize that the longer you leave it on the market, the more offers you're going to get. In your opinion, when should you kind of just shut it down? Is it like a week, 2 weeks, 1 month?
I haven't really experienced that yet. Hopefully that's soon to come to our marketplace. I know that going back to 2004, the market was exploding, and mostly to the east of me, which I always say for my clients is, look, the dividing line is Morristown. The market is behaving differently west of Morristown than it is east of Morristown. So if you have friends who live in Shattuck Summit, Short Hills, what have you, just don't listen to what they say. It doesn't apply here, okay? So maybe I'm in that kind of a market, and there's all this kind of feeding frenzy. So when we got relationships back in 2004 where there was 10 buyers for every one house, you could get that craziness. What I remember people doing was saying, okay, the house is listed on this day, we're taking offers up to this day, bring in your best offers, everybody have them in, you got a week to get them in, and then a decision will be made. So you could do that kind of thing. In my case, I haven't experienced that. I get 2, maybe 3, and they kind of come right in the beginning. But I definitely think you have to put some kind of end date on it.
I think it's actually the highest number that solves the company. Once I saw that a lot of offers coming in.
Right. That's smart. Yep, that's smart.
Because otherwise it's just an
Well, it goes on and on and on. And you know what happens. Rob has shared some stories with me where some crazy offer comes in, $100,000 over asking price, and the seller's eyes pop out of their head, and wait, this person is definitely going to realize they're making a mistake here. You know, they're overpaying for this property. It's never going to appraise. Their attorney is going to add a provision. It's subject to an appraisal. And what am I really getting myself into here? Yeah, you got to say, what I say to my client is, look, we do this multiple best, highest best, no opportunity to improve. The reason that there's no opportunity to improve, because here's what's happening. Is they've already told highest and best, and now they're coming back because they lost. Now, they just want to win. They don't want to buy the house anymore. They just want to win the negotiation, right? And they'll do whatever it takes to win the negotiation until they win, and then they realize that, what did I just do? You know, I overpaid for this property. I don't want this house. And the next thing you know, they're out of the deal, and now you scared the good buyer away. So I'm always about, don't chase a good buyer away for a bad buyer. And this is what happens, and you have to share those real life stories with people for them sometimes to get it, and in some cases they don't get it at all. But it's always their decision, not mine. So that's how I'm presenting marketing, and that leads me up to the final piece of the presentation, which is price. How do you present price, okay, to people? I have, again, a process that has evolved over 25 years. I use a lot of Jeffrey Otto stuff. People go to his seminars, and well, first thing I'm looking at is absorption rates, right? So what do we have to look at when we give you advice on price? We have to know the relative strength or weakness of the market that you're in. What market are you in? Some people will say, well, okay, I'm in the New Jersey market. No, 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 you're not in the New Jersey market. Well, I'm in the Morris County market. No, 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 you're not in the Morris County market. I'm in the Randolph market. No, 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 you're not in the Randolph market. You're in the $400,000 to $500,000 market within Randolph, maybe, or wherever it might be. You got to break it down to its smallest part. Okay, now what is the absorption rate in that market? So I brought along a market analysis I did about a week ago, actually outside of my core town. This was in Rockaway, one of the adjoining towns. And this property value is in the high 5s to 6 range. So I ran everything between 550 and 6 1/4. Okay. So what's on the market for sale between 550 and 6? What's under contract between 550, 6 1/4, and what's sold? In this case, I have 10 active sales. I have 0 under contract, which to me means no sales in the last 2 months. And I have 5 closed sales in the last 12 months, which means in that sector of that market, we're getting less than 1 sale every 2 months. So if I'm getting 1 sale every 2 months, I have 10 properties for sale. What's the absorption rate? I got a 20-month plus absorption rate, right? What is a 20-month plus absorption rate? Well, what does that mean to people? They have no clue what that means. So you have to put it into perspective. What we know historically, right, is that when we get absorption rates around 5 months is where we see stable pricing. When we get well above that, we usually have declining prices. And when we get well below that, we usually have increasing prices. The higher you go, the greater the decline. The lower you go, the steeper the increases are, right? So it just gives you kind of a benchmark, right? So, right, if I had a stable market, I should have absorption rates around 5%. I've got 4 times that. I still have a very weak market. That segment of the market in Rockaway hasn't caught up yet. It's still a very competitive market. So what I'll say to them is, look, we have 10 competing sellers, hold me number 11, okay? And if it continues the way we're going to go, you want to sell your house in the next 60 days, right? Okay, right? You got a 1 in 11 chance of selling your house in the next 60 days. Okay. How are we going to become the sale over the next 60 days? If there's only going to be 1 sale in this price range, how are we going to become the sale? And the most important thing you got to do is you got to present your property the right way, and you got to price your property the right way, and you got to get full marketing exposure. And that's the only way you're going to give yourself a chance of getting that next sale. If somebody else can buy a similar substitute for less money within this group, guess what? They're not making you an offer. They're making somebody else an offer. Well, you know, I don't want to reduce my price. Just get me an offer. You know, I'll come down, get me an offer. I'm like, that's not the way it works. There aren't enough offers for everybody. Okay, who's going to get the offers? The person who has their house priced competitively is going to get the offer. The person who has their house priced right. I'm not talking about discounting it, and I'm not talking about underpricing it. I'm talking about pricing it right. What do I know? If I go to Rockaway as an example, I could probably pull up all the houses that sold in the last 12 months and say that 80% of them had 1 or multiple price reductions before they went under contract. So what does that tell you? What it should tell you is that 80% of home sellers overpriced their house in the beginning, which is the biggest mistake you can make, which is your best opportunity to attract the highest offer. You're pushing people away at the moment in time when you have the best opportunity to attract the highest offer. So you got to get it priced right. If you price your house right, and 80% of the people on this list are overpriced. They're only going to make you look better. So we got to figure out what that is. What is the right price? So how do we get to that? So I start with, okay, that's the market we're in. We know we have to be competitive because we have a 20-month absorption rate. And I explained to them we're going to do a two-part analysis. The first is the traditional approach that most real estate agents use, and that's the comparative market analysis, which is here are the most similar homes for sale, here are the most similar homes under contract, aren't any, here are the most similar homes that sold, here's how your house compares to those properties, and based on those homes, I think the value of your home is. Okay, what is that? It's an opinion, right, which they put back on you. Oh, you don't think my house is worth as much as it's worth? Not a good thing. It's not going to lead to a lot of business. I've lost a lot of good listings over the years because I thought I was the pricing god. Oh, you don't know, I know. I'm the expert here. This is what your house is worth. You need to price it here. And all of a sudden the market changed and we get a steep pricing curve, and 4 months later the market catches up to the price, and what do they say? This guy didn't know what he was talking about. Told him my house is worth this. He said it was only worth that. So you have to be careful depending on where you are in the cycle with how you present price. If I'm where I was 2 years ago, then yes, that's a strategy I'm using. Price it real competitive right now. If you're not willing to be real competitive, if you're not within the realm of reality, I don't want to cut you because you're a liability, not an asset. You are only going to cost me money. I'm going to make nothing on you. I'm going to lose time, effort, energy, and money. Okay, don't want your listing. This market, take just about everything within reason, assuming that the underlying motivation is there. Okay, so if I have somebody today, yes.
I'm sorry, I'm having a real hard time hearing you. I
Okay.
know you're like seeing the people in front of you, but I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay.
Speak up a little bit
I will
more.
try to do that. Yes. How's that? Better?
That-
My deep
yeah.
voice?
Talk to me back.
I'll talk to you.
Ma'am.
That's
And
right.
your voice will go all the way down.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. So, you know, that's how you have to present price. And so in this market, I'm going to be, you know, more flexible with what the seller wants than I would have been a year ago, because the market's moving in our favor. And if it's not there today, my term is long enough. The market should catch up to my price within reason. Okay. Having said that, though, I came up with a formula over the years to present price so that I wouldn't lose a listing because they thought I wasn't on board with the value of their home. Now, wait a minute, I got this guy over here who knows what my house is really worth and is on the same, you know, level as I am, and you don't know what you're talking about, you know. If I know that underlying seller is super motivated, and now I know I have the best services, I can provide the best representation, but somebody else is going to get paid, not me, because I gave him the impression that his house wasn't worth what he thought it was worth. So you have to be, I'm very delicate on how I handle price. So what it really translates to is, it starts with, okay, I have 3 groups of properties, right? I have those homes that are most similar, that are currently for sale. Let's take a look at those. Let's look at how your house compares to those. What's the average of that group? Are you average within that group? Are you above average? Are you below average relative to your features and their features, right? I always talk to people about the asking price is the trigger point. That's what people respond to, and I try to make that point by saying to them, look, if somebody has a house that shows beautifully, I said, look, I could bring somebody into your house today, right? And I know they're in the general price range. I'm saying, come look at this house. I'm not going to tell you how much it is. I want you to come look at it. And I could bring them through this house, and I know as they walk through the house, they're going to say, I love it, I love it, I love it. Oh, this is beautiful, this is nice. Shows beautiful, great, fantastic house. Okay, next question. How much? How much? Now, do they still love it, or do they not love it anymore? So what are they really buying? The features or the price you're asking for the features? What they're really buying is the price you're asking for the features. And when they compare you to other properties, they're comparing you to the features the other properties have and what the seller's asking for those features. If you're not competitive with that, you've got no chance. Okay? So we started with those homes that are currently for sale. Then I have the group of, here are the ones that are under contract. Here are the features they have. Here are the features the year has. Lastly, here are the ones that have sold most recently. Not using old solds anymore. Well, when I say old solds, I might be looking at the last 3 or 4 months of closings. I'm not going back 12 months. I'm not looking at something that went under contract last spring, because in my market, I can take that house and sell it for more money now. I'm trying to look at stuff that's more recent now than I did before. All right, and so then that gives me my summary list here, and then I usually share this with it. And so in this case, on this property, the average asking price of the 10 houses that are currently competing with them in the price range was $588,289. Okay, under contracts, really bad sign. There aren't any. Okay. And then solds, another really bad sign, because in the last 12 months, there's only been 5 buyers. You have 10 sellers, and you have 5 buyers in the last 12 months. Not good odds. But what was the average of the selling prices of those 5 most similar homes? Both asking and selling. In this case, the asking price was $597,760, but the selling price was $570,300. Okay. Now the question becomes, are you average? Are you above average? Or are you below average? So we need to find that out. So the next thing I say is, the way we try to tone in on that is we take the best comparables and we put them into spreadsheets and we line item adjust. This is, remember I was saying before how sometimes you sit down with clients and you see it in their eyes and that they really see something as being important and they really see value in something. In a market analysis, people roll their eyes. Oh, my house is better than that. Oh, my house is better than that. My house is better than that. I've got the best house. You know, that doesn't, you know, doesn't interpret, you know, for me. This, it's math. And it's almost like they can't dispute it. It's like, wait a minute, that's logical. I get that. That makes sense. I find these spreadsheets are tremendously valuable, if I can speak, in presenting price and making your point as to where the market is likely to be. So we line item adjust. In this case, I will give you the particulars. I'm using the subject property, and I've created my own spreadsheet. If you use Atto, he has a spreadsheet that you can use. And this is very similar to that. I just tweaked it a little bit for things that I thought weren't really built into that model. So here are my line items. It starts with what was the original list price of the comparable property. In this case, it was $615. What was the final list price at time of sale? It was $599. What was the actual selling price? It was $575. Okay, the first line item adjustment is sales concessions. Were any concessions made at time of sale on that property that need to be adjusted for? Did they pay points, whatever? Closing costs? No, there were not. 0. Okay? Usually, you got to call the agent to find that out. The next line item adjustment on mine is market change. Has there been any change in market since the time of that sale? In this case, yes, there was, in my opinion. I'm interpolating what's going on now. I also use the Atto market trend graph a lot. Everybody knows what that is, where he shows you here's what the market's done in the last, whatever, 10 years, and here's what our forecast is for the next 5. Okay, that's where I pull those numbers from. It's not like I'm pulling them out of thin area. Here's the guy, he's the guru, he's the expert, this is what he's saying, based on his numbers, based on what I see going on in the marketplace, I'm plugging in this number. Okay, this is where it's coming from. Right, so I made an adjustment here of $15,000. My opinion, in essence, to them, to explain it in layman's terms, is that house that sold for $575, that went under contract in January, I think could sell for $15,000 more today. So I give you a positive adjustment in your favor of $15,000 for time. The next line item adjustment is neighborhood appeal, right? I always talk to people about price. Price is broken into 3 components. What drives what a buyer will pay for your house? There are 3 things. The location, which probably is the most important thing. Location, location, location. Every location is different. Some cases, the locations are real similar. No adjustment for a location. Some cases, you have a better location. Need to make an adjustment for that. Sometimes their location is better. Need to make an adjustment for that. Second thing is lot, land. Need to make an adjustment for land. It sometimes can be the size of lot, but more times than not, it is the type of lot. Am I on the side of a cliff, down in a hole, up on a mountain, or am I on a nice level, flat property at the end of a cul-de-sac in a great neighborhood? That's location number 1, lot number 1. Okay, so I have to adjust for those differences. I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make in doing an analysis is just improvements to improvements, house to house. Not enough emphasis on adjusting for location and lot. So in this case, we have neighborhood appeal. There are two very similar subdivisions off of the same street, so we made no adjustment for neighborhood appeal. Site area, one had 2.12 acres, one had 2.05 acres. No adjustment for site area. Site appeal, both were pretty level, usable lots. No adjustment for site appeal. Both were colonial style homes, no adjustment. Both similar quality of construction, no adjustment. Both built same year, 2001, age, no adjustment. Exterior condition and appeal. The subject property is a vinyl sided house. The comparable is brick front. Okay, some added value in the brick front appeal. I made a line item adjustment $8,000 for the brick front. Interior condition and appeal. Basically, this is how does the property show floor coverings, wall coverings. Okay, not kitchens and bathrooms. Those are line item adjusted separately. So, in my opinion, we had some more updates, and it would take the other seller an investment of about $5,000 to upgrade their house to the same interior condition, and so there was a line item adjustment made of $5,000 for interior condition and appeal. The next is number of baths. Both are 2.5, no adjustment. The next is gross living area. Subject property, 3,503 square feet. Subject property, 3,724 square feet. You have to make an adjustment for that value based on, again, the adjustment guide that Otto gives you. You plug in that number, and it came up with $11,000, a negative adjustment because the other house had some additional square footage. Basements, both had full basements, both had walkout basements, no adjustment there. One had a partially finished basement, one didn't. Made a $10,000 adjustment for the basement's finished basement space. One had a 2-car attached garage, the other had a 3-car attached garage. Another $10,000 adjustment for the extra garage. Fireplace is the same, deck, patios, porch is the same. Both had similar bathrooms, no adjustment. One had a more updated kitchen, $5,000 adjustment was made for the extra features in the kitchen. And when you netted out all the adjustments, the adjusted sales price compared to this this comparable was $560,950. Okay, and usually it depends on the property. Sometimes I'll run one spreadsheet against a really good comp. Sometimes, I don't have a really good comp. I use 3 spreadsheets and more data I need to come up with my final conclusion. And then we move to the final conclusion page. And my final conclusion page is, here are my pricing recommendations. There are plural. There is no one pricing recommendation. That's how I get myself in trouble, by making a singular pricing recommendation. I'm going to make a recommendation of what I consider to be the most competitive asking price, a competitive asking price, and a premium asking price. Okay? And then I'm going to give you what I consider to be the risks of each decision, the cost benefit of each decision. In my opinion, in my marketplace currently, the smartest way to price your house right now is you ask less and you sell for more. And if you ask more, you are likely going to sell for less. What I'm about trying to figure out here is what asking price will give us the highest offer. Okay? And in my opinion, in this marketplace, a more competitive, lower asking price will lead to a higher offer, and a higher asking price often leads to no offer at all and a price reduction down the line. And so if, in this case, my most competitive asking price is $569,900. Again, my base expected selling price is $560,000. I'm going to price really tight to that. I use also real world examples for this. I'm a little bit crazy. I've, in the last 10 years, lived in 5 different houses. I move around a lot in town. I'm to the next, build houses, fix houses up to that kind of stuff. Take my capital gain and run. I just moved a year ago, May. I did the market analysis on my property. I came up with a value of somewhere between $610,000 and $620,000 is where I thought my selling price would fall in the end. What was my asking price? My asking price was $619,900. Okay, knowing that I expected it to sell between $610,000 and $620,000. I activated my listing on a Saturday. I had 3 offers by Monday, and I sold my house for $619,900. Not a penny over. With 3 offers, couldn't get it bid any higher than that. Felt like I hit the bullseye. My neighbor 2 doors down from me, any New York Jet fans in here? Okay, you know who Antonio Cromartie is? Okay, he was my neighbor. Not a good neighbor to have. That's a different story for another day. He lived 2 doors down from me, right? And actually, he didn't own the house. He was renting the house from the owner. I think he just got a new contract within the last year or something. In any event, he moved out of his rental. I'm sure he's buying some big palace somewhere. He didn't buy it from me. That we did sell Mangold house. They saw my sale. And they said, look, this house came on the market. Within 3 days, it was under contract. It sold for a full asking price. $619, let's ask $649. Okay? That house had some upgraded features that my house didn't have. It had a renovated kitchen. I still had the original kitchen in my house. Didn't show real well because he was half moved out, half moved in. But when you look through it, it really should have sold for at least what my house sold for, or more. But they asked $649 for it. I have to go back and track the numbers. Something like 4 months later, it sold for $580. Okay, so that's a real world example I can use for people. This is what happens. This is really what happens when you overprice versus when you price right. Okay, you get people's excitement early on. Early on, they see a house, they like your house, they feel it's priced right, they want it, they don't want to lose it, fear of loss. Got to be aggressive with my offer. Okay, been on the market for 60 days, that turns completely around. This person's motivated, nobody else wants it, I can offer low. So I go through that with people. And then I say, okay, so here's my pricing recommendations. Most competitive is $569.9. You stay competitive to $589. Okay, which you still have a good chance of generating an offer by offering $589,000 for your house, but now you have some added risk. And now at $569.9, I'm going to tell you that you have a 90% chance of selling your house without ever having to make a reduction. And so very little risk at all. At $589, now you have some more risk. Maybe 40, 50% chance you're going to have to make a reduction, but 50% chance you're going to generate an offer. You want to taste that risk? That's $589.9. Okay. At the end of the day, you probably won't sell it for any more money. Might take you a little bit more longer to get there. If you get lucky, maybe you get a higher offer, but probably not, my opinion. So is the risk worth the reward? In my opinion, not, but not my decision, your decision. Okay. And then the last thing is premium. Okay. At $599 and above, you're now in premium, where the pendulum has now swung. There's a greater chance that you're going to have to make a reduction and a lesser chance that you're going to get any offer at all. Okay. I cannot deny the possibility at almost any price, within reason, that you don't have a chance of getting an offer. Just like you have a chance of winning the lottery, you have a chance of getting an offer. I can't deny the possibility, but the odds are not good. So that's the risk. This price, in most cases, when people price in the premium range, maybe I would say, in my opinion, in my town, 1 out of 10 people get an offer with a premium price. Okay? So, yeah, you have about a 10% chance of generating an offer at a premium price. But 90% of the time, that person who lists their house at a premium price makes one or multiple reductions before they generate a sale. So my thing is, okay, let's say you come on the market at $599, you choose the price of premium, and you fall flat on your face. And then in 30 days, you say, okay, well, I'll go down to competitive at $589. Well, that price point is not going to generate the same response 30 days out as it is on day one. Okay? And by the time you get the price to where you should have been in the beginning, it ain't enough anymore. Okay? It either generates lower offers than what you would have gotten in the beginning, or no offers at all, and now you have to discount your asking price even below the most competitive asking price. I see that happening on a regular basis. So to me, it's then, look, everything's based on your situation, your needs. It's up to you. It's not me forcing a price on you. Here's the data. Here's the information. What do you want to price it? Usually the question I ask when I share these numbers with people is, okay, I just have done all this talking. Now, I want to ask you a question. These numbers, lower, higher, or kind of what you expected? And then I just sit back and shut up and let them talk. And if they're like, oh, God, no, that's crazy. $569.9, I would never ask $569.9. I'd price my house at $575. Oh, okay, not a problem. $575. We're right there. We're talking about $5,000 on $500,000, 1%. Nothing. No problem. Let's give it a shot. For some people it might be, hey, this one called me last night and said, okay, we want to use your services and we want to ask $600. My response, No problem. I'll list it at 600,000 and we'll put all of our marketing behind it, and we're going to give you the best opportunity to sell your house at the highest possible price. Understanding even at the most competitive price, everything we do here is just looking at what happened yesterday and trying to guess at what's going to happen tomorrow. It's not an exact science, number one. And number two, what I tell everybody is the market analysis, all these pages here, put them together real nice and neat. As soon as we activate your listing, here's what I want you to do with the market analysis. Rip it up and throw it in the garbage because it doesn't mean anything. Okay? It just was a tool for us to determine where to start with our asking price. Okay? Now the market will tell us whether we're right or we're not right. How? Our weekly progress reports. Right? Are we getting the activity on the internet? Are we getting the emails? Are we getting the phone calls? Are we getting the showings? What's the feedback? Okay? That's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is what buyers think, not what I think. All I'm trying to do is figure out what they think. And if what I thought is not what they think, then I got it wrong. And we need to make a change. Okay? So what we need to do is react to the market after we come on the market. So that's price. Usually I want to settle on getting an agreement on price. All right, where do you want to price it? Where are you comfortable pricing it? Okay, great. Let's use that price. I'll put everything behind it, everything I got, my services, great. You know, are you ready to give me a commitment? You're ready to get me started. For some people, it's, hey, I had one last year. I'm not selling until next year because my daughter is not graduating high school until next year, and after she graduates, then we want to move. So great. So but we came back to, hey, we got a lot of staging to do here, you know. And this guy was retired, and he was going to do a lot of the work himself, painting and other things. And he's like, yeah, you know, you can consult me on all these decisions I make over the next year to get my house ready for sale. Absolutely. With a written commitment, I can do that. So what I'll need you to do is sign a 2-year exclusive listing agreement. Okay. I will provide you. We're not going to use this exclusive agreement to sell your house. We're going to use this agreement to provide services to help you prepare your house for sale. And when you're ready to sell your house, we're going to convert that over to a multiple listing agreement. And we will only use a multiple listing agreement, full exposure, as a tool to sell your house. But you can't expect me to provide services, provide my time, make investment, maybe have my home stager come out at my cost, out of my pocket, without a written commitment. So I think one of the best things that I ever did was staging and professional photography, because then I can show people that ahead of time I'm spending money, making an investment, going to work, and I can get a commitment much earlier in the process. I have 5 exclusive listings right now on my desk that the soonest that one of those 5 is going to come on the market is the end of August, and the others will come on after that. But now I don't have to worry. I'll tell you another story about why an exclusive listing is great. That story I was telling you before, where we took on the kind of the general contracting of the improvements for that house, and we put lots of time into that project, and there was a 1% extra fee being charged for those services. The last step in that phase, after about 2 months of that process, was bringing the pod out to the driveway to take the stuff out, you know, to declutter, thin it out. Pod comes in the driveway. Neighbor from next door walks over and says, hey, you're going to be selling your house? And the seller says, yeah. Well, I might want to buy it. So she says, oh, okay, well, my real estate agent is Doug Tucker, blah, 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 blah. The neighbor goes back, calls up their real estate agent and says, hey, the house next door is going to be listed with Doug Tucker. We want to see it. We might want to buy it. We'd love to stay in the neighborhood. It's going to be in the price range, blah, 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 blah. Calls me up, coordinate that appointment, show them the house. They make a full price offer to purchase the house, $899,900. Okay. Next thing I get is a call from the seller's attorney. Now, I won't name names. The seller is somebody that I know personally from my church, happens to also be a theology teacher. And next thing I get is a call from her attorney. You don't have an agreement with this seller for this sale. She shouldn't have to pay you a commission, and that you didn't do anything. I'm like, wait a minute. You know, stop. I said, first of all, how do you know that? There's another agent involved in this transaction as well. I said, according to the conversations I've had with them, they've been working with this buyer for a year. A year of their time invested in this buyer to educate them on the market so that they know that they want to buy this house, number one, and that they're willing to pay $899 for it. That's part one. Part two is I just provided 2 months of staging services to get the house in the condition that it's in, to present the way that it'll present, so that these people could get an $899 offer. If I hadn't done that, you know, it could be $50,000, $100,000 less. Okay, it was a lot of improvements that were done. I said, so you're totally off base. Did I put marketing and promotion out? In a way, I did. I'm the one who told them to get the pod. That's what brought the buyer. But I have an exclusive agreement. My exclusive agreement has a big disclaimer on top of it that I highlight in yellow. This is it right here. This is actually the actual exclusive agreement I have with another listing I took yesterday. Forgot to bring a copy. And on the top of it, it says this. It says temporary agreement. I want to make it very clear to people. This is not what we're using to sell your house. This is what we're using to prepare your house for sale. Okay? Seller has the right to cancel this agreement at any time and convert to a 6-month GSMLS agreement, highlighted in yellow. Okay? This is our temporary agreement. This is what you're hiring me to help you prepare your house for sale. When we get to the point where you're ready to sell it, we're going to convert this over to a GSMLS agreement, and that's how we're going to sell your house. Attorney takes a look at this and like, oh, this isn't, I've never seen anything like this before. I might, probably haven't. But fact of the matter is, I have a written agreement, you know, for this property. In the end, it's because I didn't want to lose the relationship with the underlying client. The attorney was also a teacher at the school in which she taught at, and you know, he was playing, you know, Big Brother, and he had to flex his muscles and get her something. He was really giving me a hard time. I did make a concession on what the commission would be for this one deal. That finally satisfied them, and we closed the deal. So it goes under contract. A week later, it falls apart. It is contingent upon the sale of their house. They have a contract on their house, which I have no doubts about, because I know I can sell it 10 times over. But this buyer says, this buyer had lost 2 other houses in a bidding war, okay, which again was an education they got from the buyer's agent that they had been working with for the last year. And now they lost the seller, excuse me, they lost the buyer for their house. And they were just frustrated. They had had it. Forget it, we're staying here, we're not selling, blah, blah, blah. Deal's off, you know. So I had to call my client, hey, deal's off, back on, we gotta go full speed ahead, we gotta finish, get listed. And fortunately, within a few days, their emotions went down and they came back to the table. We had that deal together and we have a home inspection this week. But without a exclusive agreement, I will tell you, theology teacher, friend or not, I would have gotten zero.
Yep.
Zero on a $900,000 sale. So every listing I take now starts with an exclusive agreement. Okay, you're not ready for a month? No problem. I need your commitment today. Why? Because I'm going to provide you these services leading up to the next month so that when you are ready to sell, everything is going to be done. We're going to be ready to go. I'm going to provide services. You have to give me a written agreement. Okay, and I have no problems with it for the most part. Anyway, that's it. End of story. Any questions that anyone has? Be happy to answer. Yes.
When you do your pricing analysis, you make a big thing of staging. When you do the pricing analysis and the adjustment, do you assume all of the staging punch?
Yes, it depends on the situation. Yes and no. I've done ones where I'm giving you a as is and an improved property, and I've had swings as much as 100,000 on the improvements. This one is a point in case where, okay, I've got a $900,000 house in this market in which we're in. I've got a kitchen which has sheet vinyl linoleum on the floor in a very dated 70s pattern. Don't ask me why. The house was built in the 90s. I have Formica countertops in the kitchen. I have a kitchen that's undersized to begin with. Okay, that's not going to fly. I have, you know, carpets that need to be replaced, hardwood floors that need to be refinished. I have some really nice features in this house. We have this 2-story custom library with columns built in, you know, bookshelves, etc. And none of it's showing like that because of, you know, what they have. So we came in and said, look, you want to sell it as is? We're probably talking $100,000 less. You want to make, in their case, what did they end up spending? $20-some thousand. In this case, I can get you almost 4 for every one you spent. Most cases, it's not that extreme. You know, it might be 2 for 1, might be less than 2 for 1. It might be, hey, you do this, and we're just going to give you a better chance of selling it quicker and a little bit more money. But I can show that in there. If I do this, like there's a lot of things in this line item adjustment when I'm comparing it. So let's say I'm comparing a house that needs a lot of work. I have a house that needs a lot of work, and I'm comparing it to a house that has all the work already done. So my adjustments are going to show up here. And I can say, you can recapture all of these things if you're willing to spend some money. And that will give you that number that you might be able to recapture. So that's how that works. Yes, back.
Do you say the same thing every time when you ask them to sign the listing, and what do you say? What's the last 10 words you say?
No, I don't know that I have a last 10 words that's consistent. It usually is, you know, I think one of the last things I'm saying is, well, what were you thinking? Higher, lower, about the same? Okay, and we have a discussion about whatever their answer is. Okay, let's come to a decision on price. All right, great. All right, here, now let me go over the forms with you. Here's the listing agreement, great, boom. Well, what's the target? When do we want to start showing your house? Okay, and then maybe build that into the equation. So if I have a house where, hey, you know, we're not gonna be ready for another month. Oh, okay, we're running out of time then. We need to get this signed up today. I need to get my stager in here next week. You're gonna probably take some time to do some of the staging. That's gonna take some time. Then I gotta bring in my photographer. Then it's gonna take some time to create my material so that on that day we're ready to go. Boom. And that kind of leads to them concluding that, hey, we've got to make a decision now. You know, so it's kind of that way. Anthony.
For the reduction conversation, are you going back out with documentation of what you've given them before, like feedback and stuff like that, or are you going out with just conversation?
No. Usually the reports, right? The GSMLS reports. All right, here's how many people have seen your house since it's been on the market. Basically, first thing we got to take off the table, because you know what they want to say is we have a marketing problem. My house isn't selling because of you. You're not doing enough to find me buyers, and I want to take that off the table so that I can say, no, you don't have a marketing problem. Look at how many people have seen your house. Okay, we know the presentation that was made to all of those people was the highest level presentation we can make. Would you agree? Yes, it was. So what are we going to do? Throw more marketing to reach the same people with the same message and get the same response. It's not a marketing problem. It's a different problem. If it's that, and sometimes I'm going back out to just say, hey, you know, hang in there. It's going to happen. Other times, all right, now I got to provide the facts. I had one recently. A guy put like a $100,000 kitchen into a $550,000 house on a lot that has no yard. You go out the basement sliding doors onto a deck, and then that deck drops off like that. And you're in a subdivision where there's mostly children, right? So he just can't understand that he's over-improved his house. You know, wait a minute, the guy next door's got the original kitchen. I put this extra $100 grand in. I've got these oak bookcases in my thing. I have this, I have that feature. Yeah, and your house is still 3,000 square feet, and it's on this lot, and the market has spoken, okay? So that's a tough sell to this guy, to get him to understand that on that 100 grand you just spent, you might be getting 20 back. And so I got to say, all right, well, how do we know that? Well, look, we presented all of the features of this $100,000 kitchen to every buyer. Look at all the buyers that have been to your house and have seen your $100,000 kitchen, and we have nobody who's interested, no one who wants to make an offer, and their house is selling left and right in this town, in this price range. So what it really is we're asking too much for the features that we have, and your lot is having a greater impact on value than maybe we thought, and we're going to have to make a bigger adjustment, just like we would have to do for power lines or something like that. Yeah. So that's conversations I'm having on the price reductions. Yes.
So charging to get a house prepared for the market when it becomes your full-time job, doing that is an extra 1%?
It depends on the job.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nothing. It's just built into my commission because I don't have that much to really do.
Yeah, but
when it's a big one like that, yeah, I'll bump it up 1%, 0.5%, whatever you think it's worth.
Yep.
You can do that. It's up to you. Now, don't you become that person. That's the biggest mistake you can ever make. Yeah, you're in the real estate business, not the general contractor or staging business. Hire somebody else to do that. Yes, Pat.
Are you negotiating, or since it sounds like you're using staging as a big marketing tool, are you finding that you have like a negotiation with the stager, since I'm going to be doing X amount of volume staging? Are you getting into that
In my
conversation
case,
yet?
no, because all I'm using the stager for is a 90-minute consultation. A 90-minute consultation is homeowner, grab a pen and a piece of paper. Okay, we're going to go room by room, right? Here's what you can do here. Sometimes my home stager will even move furniture, move some things around. We got to take this out, get rid of that. You know, paint this. She's pretty direct, which is good because I can't be direct, right? Because they get offended and I'm not on their side anymore, and they're hiring me to be on their side, right? Now the stager can say, hey, this color's got to go. That paper's got to go. You know, you got to do this. And she's only got 90 minutes, and she knows that because that's what I'm paying her for. And so she gets right to it. Boom, 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 boom. And sometimes the feedback I get from the client is, hey, the stager wasn't very nice. I know she's not very nice, but she's very effective. She's very effective. I can tell you the houses that she has handled for me, we've gotten great results for. And yeah, she's very direct, but you know, it really will make a difference. So that's the staging consultation point of it. For me, when we take on like the general contracting, as I call it, part of it, that's my wife, so it doesn't cost me anything. It does cost me, but that's a different story. I'm paying anyway. Yes, Mike.
Something that I've struggled with in the past is dealing with listings that are about to expire.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a system for, you start talking to them 3 weeks before it's about to expire? Or
Every 30 days I'm talking to them. I mean, I'm talking to them every week.
Right.
I'm not. My assistant is. I'm meeting with them in most cases, or at least talking to them every 30 days. So those conversations are being led up. I have one now. The house that I just gave you the story on with the drop backyard is expiring at the end of the month. So I had a conversation with Virginia yesterday and said, tell them whatever you want to tell them. Don't be afraid to offend them because we're not getting the listing anyway. If we don't get it sold within the next few weeks or convince them that you know they need to do something different and give us more time, we're losing this one. It's rare. I'd say maybe 10% of the listings will expire. Of the ones that expire, I'd say, you know, when we run out of the listing term, I'm getting 80% of them back for an extended time. And some of them, I pulled every tool out of the toolbox, used every bullet in the gun. There's nothing left, and I'm going to lose it.
How do you handle commission?
This is my commission. I like to say to people, because of the way what we do and how we do it, is I'm more services, better services, and going to get you a better result at a lower cost. Okay? What is cost? Cost isn't commission rate. Cost is what's left after commission, right? That's really what you put in your pocket. That's what matters. It's not the rate you pay. Oh, I can get somebody who will do it for a percentage point less. Well, they'll charge you a commission of 1% less, but I convinced I will put more money in your pocket at this rate than they will at that rate. Here's how I do it. You know, I have track record to prove it. You can pull statistics, so you can run for your market area, whatever it might be. Here's what the average list to sell price ratio is for the market. Here's my average list to sell price ratio. It's been as high as 2.1% higher than the market. Average days on market, half of what the market average days are. So, you know, here's the fact. You know, my houses sell faster, they sell for more money. Those two things go hand in hand because of the way we manage it, the way we advise our clients. We're able to sell them for more money, less time, provide more services. You have a better experience, and at the end of the day, it's a lower cost to you. I'm providing a lot of upgrade premium services. I'm charging you nothing for it. That's what you get. It's like when you hire an attorney, right? You have a specific, I don't know, criminal case. You're not going to hire a real estate attorney. You're going to hire a criminal attorney. Now, there's lots of different criminal attorneys. You've got the guy who just started practicing last week, and you got the guy who's got 25 years of experience and a track record of being the best criminal attorney in the area. Well, that's me. 25 years market experience with a track record of selling more houses than anybody else. You get me, and sometimes for less than the guy who started practicing last week. You know, because they might be charging a premium commission. In most cases, you get me for nothing more than what you're paying that person. I would like to think I bring a lot more value to the table than the person who just started practicing last week. I am doing all of these things. They're not doing any of them. In many cases, no staging, no professional photography, not half the marketing, not a team, not more people. We've got more people working. That's one of the things that I always say to people with my team concept is, how do we get better results? Is we hire more people to help sell your property. We got more manpower, right? So there's more time being spent, more dollars being spent to sell your property. And by doing that, we get a better result. It's logical.
In the first step, do you leave like testimonials or anything like that?
Good point. Usually the only time that comes up is when I'm not feeling it. I don't have these people convinced, or for some reason they're going in another direction. Then it's, wait a minute. You know what? Instead of hearing it from me, why don't you hear it from one of my clients? And I always tell people, look, you can interview 100 different agents, and every one of them can find somebody that they've done business with in the past that will give them a testimonial. It might be from 10 years ago, but it's a positive testimonial. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 people that I'm working with right now, okay, that you can go talk to. Here's their numbers. Depends sometimes. You have to call people first before you give out their numbers and their email addresses. Here's the number. Here's their email address. Ask them. Don't ask me. Every time we close on a sale, we send out a satisfaction survey. We don't do a good enough job with these. We get lots of them back, without making any effort to get them back, just sending them out. They fill them out and send them back. And you get some, really great raving fan testimonials. So I can just share these. Hey, this is somebody I worked with just last month. Here's what they had to say. Here's what this person had to say. And if you want to talk to them directly, I'll get you their name. I'll get you their number. So when I have to, I use that. I probably should more proactively put that into my package, and I think I will.
You also explain like the commission, that you put out whatever percentage that you do, so the public doesn't think that you're bombing the whole amount.
I get that a lot in this market where things are starting to turn faster, right? So people think, I'm like, well, wait a minute. When the market goes down, and nothing's selling, and we're having 50% of the sales that we had before, and they're selling for 25% less than what they sold for before, and I get paid a percentage of what they sell for, and I get paid on units of closings, and now on top of that, you want me to charge you less for the commission because the market's bad. Just shoot me. When the market turns around, and all of a sudden I get you a really good result, generated multiple offers, sold it for $20,000 over asking price within a week, you want to penalize me for that. Bottom line is this: you can't have it both ways. You only pay me a commission if I get a result that's acceptable to you. If I don't, I get paid nothing. I'm taking a tremendous amount of risk here. Okay, I take 100% of the loss of everything I do. I'm glad you asked that, because there's something else that I should have pointed out in my listing presentation that I usually do, which are 2 really, 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 I think, important benefits of being a RE/MAX agent relative to some of the competing companies. And the first and foremost is I've got more skin in the game. Okay, everything I just showed you is on my dime. Okay, it's out of my pocket. I don't sell your house. Okay, I'm with brand X. I don't make a commission. That stinks. But I didn't lose anything. You hire me, not only do I not make a commission, I'm going to lose thousands of dollars. And that's the truth. So I got more skin in the game. I've got more to lose. I'm more motivated to get the job done for you than somebody else might be. The other thing is, this is a story that evolved over many years. I worked for Century 21 for 1 year. I worked for Weichert for 10 years, and I'm with RE/MAX for 15 years. In the old traditional model, which is the opportunity desk model, I have a real problem with that. You hire me, so I'll say to somebody, I'm competing with, let's say, a brand X agent, right? And I say, okay, well, here's the difference. You hire me, you know my track record, you know my ability, my experience, you're sold on all of that. Now we go out and activate your listing, and if I'm with brand X, you get somebody else. You don't get me anymore, because where are the buyer inquiries going? Are they directed to the agent you hired to sell your property? Do they have control of those buyers? Or is Bob getting those inquiries, right? And they say, Bob, who's Bob? I say, oh, okay, let me tell you my Bob story. Some of us old timers might even know who Bob is. But anyway, Bob was an agent that I worked with when I was at Weichert for many years. Bob was in the office for about 5 years. Bob was a retired AT&T guy. Got his real estate license. He was a widower, and he was really just doing it to keep busy. Had no sales ability at all. In fact, Bob is the one who got me my first computer. He was like an engineer type. Bob took more floor time than anybody else because Bob had lots of time on his hands, right? And so what would happen is I'd come out and I'd present to you, and you would say, you're the man. I want you to sell my house. I take your listing back to the office. We put the marketing out, and now all the calls are going to Bob. And Bob is 0 for 5. And I'm like, 0 for 5? What's 0 for 5? Says he worked in the office for 5 years, and he never sold a house in 5 years. So Bob's taking all your buyer calls, and he's just washing them down the toilet. You think you're getting me when you hire me as an agent with this company, but that's not what you're really getting. You're getting Bob. At RE/MAX, that doesn't happen. On my dime, which means all buyer leads are my property, which means all buyer leads get handled the way I want them to get handled. You know, they flow to me and my team members, okay? And they're handled the right way, and they're converted the right way, and they're worked the right way. And when you hire me, you get me. And I have more skin in the game, and I have more to lose. So I would say everybody should use those stories when they're presenting as RE/MAX versus a non-RE/MAX company. Okay?
Other questions?
Great.
Very
Welcome, thank you.
A final thanks for you guys coming out and investors for hosting us here. And we got one last introduction before we wrap it up.
I'll be passing out some brochures for Jerry. We have some contact info in the back. I have with me Bob Curran. Bob is one of our lenders in our commercial real estate group. Bob's based in Short Hills, and I'll let him take over from here.
Good morning. My name is Bob Curran. I've been with the bank for about 5 years. I had a quick thought about asking price. In my mind, I compared it to like a bridal registry, where your family and friends tell you when you're getting married, ask for the moon, right? Put down every single item. I think that's what people do when they sell their house, right? It's an emotional time and they're going for their biggest number. So I think you guys, you've shown great techniques and ways to overcome that emotion of, people just putting out the highest number. Now, what I do is commercial real estate, multifamily, retail, big shopping centers, Walgreens, industrial warehouse, that kind of stuff. We're lending in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Delaware. Loan size from about $1 million to about $30 million. Our office has been open. We've been doing commercial real estate only since 2004. Last year we did $1.8 billion. So from zero in 2004 to $1.8 billion. This year we're on target for over $2 billion. So we're expanding rapidly. I'm sure you've heard of acquiring some other banks. We're growing and we're looking for business. So I'd like to thank you for your time. And, I have some brochures and cards here if you run into any commercial type situations.
Thank you. And commercial lending is unique, and I'm sure that you're a reliable resource that can identify early on before they waste a lot of time. And if Jerry's still back there, one thing I'll mention is that I probably know Jerry about as long as Bob Scarzella, and I'll stand behind him and say if he can give you information that you can bank on it, no pun intended. So that's an endorsement you've earned over the years, and that's it. Thanks for coming, and hopefully you got some valuable info.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.